Welcome to Tales That Stay, stories that stay with you.
The story begins with a boy named Ayan, a teenager born into a world that never offered him comfort, safety, or love. A world where survival was not a choice, but a challenge he faced every single day. Ayan grew up in a small village where his childhood was anything but normal. His stepfather Rashid was a man hardened by bitterness, anger, and failure. For the smallest reasons, sometimes for no reason at all, Rashid would beat Ayan mercilessly. If a cup slipped from his hand, if he took a moment to breathe during work, if he dared to look exhausted, violence followed. Every morning, long before dawn, Rashid dragged Ayan out of his bed and pushed him into the harsh, burning fields. The fields were endless, the soil heavy, the work exhausting. Ayan worked with bare hands that were too small for such labor, hands that developed scars long before they learned to write. Hunger was routine. Fear was normal. Pain became familiar, and yet, deep inside him, Ayan held on to a silent hope that one day, life would be different. Ayan wasn't the only one suffering. His little sister, Nimra, lived under the same roof, trapped under the same cruelty. She was younger, weaker, and often punished more severely for even smaller mistakes. Ayan watched helplessly. He couldn't protect her, couldn't comfort her, couldn't shield her not, when he himself was fighting to survive. But every night, as the house dipped into silence, one promise kept him alive, that someday, somehow, he would take her away from that place. He didn't know how, he didn't know when, but he believed he must. One night, after another round of beatings, Ayan sat outside the house with bruises burning across his skin. He stared at the Skithoni place that never hurt him, and something shifted inside him. He realized that if he stayed, he would simply break. His life would end without ever truly beginning. So, without shoes, without money, without a destination, Ayan stood up and walked away. He didn't look back, not because he was brave, but because the past had nothing more to offer. The streets became his new home. Ayan slept under open skies, on cold pavements, and inside abandoned bus stops. He begged for food, searched through garbage bins, and survived on whatever scraps he found. Days passed, nights passed. Sometimes, strangers kicked him away from shop entrances. Other times, he went 2 days without tasting a single bite of food. And yet, he survived. Survival became his skill. Silence became his shield, but hope fragile. Flickering hope remained alive in his chest. One morning, when Ayan was exhausted from hunger and curled beside a closed shop, an older man noticed him. His name was Karim, the owner of a small leather shoe workshop in the city. Karim had seen countless workers in his life, but something about the boy's eyes tired, yet determined, caught his attention. Without asking for explanations or guarantees, Karim took the boy to his workshop. He gave Ayan food, a place to rest, and simple work to begin with. For the first time in his life, Ayan felt safe. Ayan began with small tasks: sweeping floors, arranging tools, carrying materials. But he watched everything happening around him. He watched how leather was chosen, how patterns were drawn, how the pieces were stitched together, how soles were shaped, how quality was judged. He learned silently, obsessively, passionately. Karim soon realized that the boy wasn't just hardworking, he was gifted. His hands moved with precision. His mind absorbed every detail. Wheaton Monsayen transformed from a helper into one of the most skilled workers in the workshop. Wheaton Ayer. He was designing his own shoe patterns so unique that local customers began asking specifically for his work. Ayan had discovered not just a skill, but a purpose. Just when things seemed stable, Karim fell ill, badly ill. The workshop's income dropped, orders slowed, workers left, bills piled up. Ayan feared losing everything he had built, but he refused to surrender. Not now. Not again. He took over the workshop's responsibilities, managing the orders, purchasing leather, designing new styles, approaching shopkeepers, and working extra hours to keep the machines running. Slowly, The workshop revived. Orders increased again. Customers trusted him, and then came the moment that would change his life forever. Ayan, now grown and confident, opened his own leather shoe factory. Success did not erase the past. In the deepest corner of his heart, Ayan still carried one unresolved pain: his sister. Years had passed, but he never forgot her. And so, with a stable income and a strong foundation, he returned to the village he had once escaped from. What he found shattered him. Nimra was thin, frail, and exhausted, still enslaved by the cruelty of their stepfather. Her eyes held years of silent suffering. Without hesitation, Ayan took her away from that life. He brought her to the city, gave her a beautiful home, nutritious food, medical care, and education. Bit by bit, Nimra healed. Her smile returned. Her nightmares faded. Ayan had finally fulfilled the promise he made years ago. Time, however, had not spared Rashid. The stepfather, he grew old, sick, and helpless. His friends abandoned him. His relatives ignored him. The same cruelty he once gave returned to him from the world. One day, a message came to Ayan. Rashid was bedridden, unable to walk, and alone. Ayan could have ignored it. He could have said the past was unforgivable. He could have walked away without guilt. But Ayan was not like him. He had grown, not just in wealth, but in heart. Ayan visited Rashid and found him broken, not physically, but emotionally. Years of regret lived in his eyes. He had no strength left, no pride left. Ayan didn't speak of the past. He didn't ask for apologies. He simply took the old man home and gave him a room, food, medicine, and care. Not because Rashid deserved it, but because kindness was the only thing Ayan truly believed in. Rashid spent his remaining days in the warmth of the home built by the very boy he once tortured. And in that quiet ending, Ayan won the battle of humanity. Ayan's story became an unspoken legend, a boy who walked out of darkness, who learned a craft, who built an empire, who rescued his sister, and who forgave the man who tried to destroy him. He grew not from privilege, but from pain. Not from comfort, but from courage. His life proved one thing beyond doubt. Some people are not shaped by what they suffered, but by what they chose to become. Moral of the story: hard work and patience can turn the darkest past into a bright future. You cannot choose your childhood, but you can choose your destiny. Kindness is not weakness. Sometimes it is the strongest form of revenge. True success is not just rising alone, but lifting others with you. Even when the world breaks you, you can choose to rebuild yourself stronger.